Admiral Kathar gazed at the enormous viewing screen on his command ship. The stars stretched endlessly before him, icy and remote, yet something felt unusual today. Everything was about to shift for the Zaphirian Empire. His communication officer turned his direction. Her blue face had lost its color from concern. "Admiral, another transmission just arrived from the old beacon system." Kathar clasped his arms behind his back. The ancient ones had disappeared thousands of years ago. Only their alert systems survived, spread throughout space like forgotten spirits. Most civilizations heeded these alerts. The Zaphirians were unique. "Play it," he commanded. Static filled the chamber. A voice emerged, emotionless and mechanical. It spoke the ancient tongue that every starfaring civilization understood. "Warning. The Sol system is off limits. The beings called humans must never be approached. They possess dangers beyond imagination. This is no mere advice. This is your final alert. Do not approach." The bridge officers showed visible unease. Quiet conversations broke out. Kathar felt fury building inside him. The Zaphirian Empire had claimed 12 star systems. They had crushed civilizations with technology these humans could never match. Dr. Yelan, his science advisor, moved forward. Age had turned her skin nearly silver. "Admiral, maybe we should pay attention now." The Ancient Ones placed these warnings carefully. Kathar faced her. His yellow eyes blazed with ambition. "The Ancient Ones are gone, Doctor. They died ages ago. We remain. We are powerful. We claim what belongs to us. But, Admiral, we understand nothing about these humans." The warning calls them out specifically. Throughout all our journeys, the Ancient Ones never named any particular civilization before. The Admiral approached his command seat. It was constructed from bones of beings from their first conquest. He settled into it and observed his fleet on the screen. 200 vessels hung in formation around his flagship. Every vessel packed enough destructive force to obliterate a moon. "Dr. Yelan, let me share what I understand about humans," Kathar began. "Our observers have monitored them for months. They are fragile beings. No protective shells, no sharp claws, no toxic defenses. They cannot even survive most environments without equipment." He powered up the holographic projector at the bridge center. Pictures of humans materialized, showing them moving through their settlements and spacecraft. They appeared delicate next to the Zaphirians. "See them," the Admiral went on. "Smaller than us, less robust than us. Their tools are basic. They still depend on chemical propulsion for certain craft. They battle each other endlessly. They split themselves into hundreds of separate nations on their homeworld." Dr. Yelan examined the pictures closely. "Admiral, sometimes the deadliest hunters appear harmless. On my homeworld, a tiny insect could destroy creatures 1,000 times larger." Kathar released a laugh. The sound bounced around the bridge. "Doctor, we are no insects. We are the Zaphirian Empire. We possess plasma weapons that can liquefy asteroids. We have barriers that deflect nuclear strikes. Our warriors wear protection that renders them almost unstoppable." He indicated the human pictures once more. These beings dress in fabric and thin metal for safety. Their arms fire small metal bits. They are so delicate that they perish without food for mere days. The communication officer raised her hand. "Admiral, the ancient message continues." "Play it," the mechanical voice returned. "The humans have endured trials from their world beyond your comprehension. They have outlasted extinction disasters that would erase any other civilization. They never yield. They never quit. They will chase you across space itself if you threaten their offspring. This concerns something far more dangerous than mere strength." Kathar dismissed it with a wave. "Scare tactics from a vanished people. They likely posted these warnings about everyone they met." Dr. Yelan shook her head. "Admiral, our records prove that the Ancient Ones only issued specific warnings about 3 civilizations in the whole galaxy. One eliminated itself through internal conflict before we reached them. Another exists in such hazardous space that nobody can approach them. The humans are number 3. The Admiral pondered this briefly. Then he grinned, revealing sharp teeth. "Doctor, this makes the humans more desirable, not less. If the Ancient Ones feared them, they possess something valuable. Materials, tools, weapons, or maybe they are dangerous in ways we cannot grasp." Kathar addressed his entire bridge staff. "Officers, we have invested 2 years reaching this sector. We have committed massive resources to this mission. Our leaders demand outcomes." He activated the fleet communication network to address everyone. "Warriors of the Empire, we approach human territory. Behind us stretch our conquered territories. Ahead lies another triumph. Yes, the Ancient Ones issued warnings, but the Ancient Ones are dust. We stand here. We have strength. We will seize what rightfully belongs to us. Cheers rang out from the other vessels. The Zaphirian fighters were hungry for combat. They had traveled for months without action. Dr. Yelan came to the Admiral's chair one final time. Kathar, I have worked with you for many years. I have never challenged your choices, but this feels wrong. The humans have had thousands of years to ready themselves for meeting other civilizations. What if they are prepared for us? The Admiral regarded her with something resembling fondness. She had advised him since his junior officer days. Doctor, if they truly posed a threat, they would have seized other worlds by now. Instead, they remain in their tiny system, fighting themselves. They are precisely what they seem to be. A basic civilization ripe for conquest. He touched a control on his chair. The fleet started moving toward the Sol system. Besides, we have monitored their transmissions. They waste most of their time arguing over meaningless things. They cannot even coordinate their own planet properly. How could they possibly resist a unified fleet? As the Zaphirian ships pushed into human territory, Admiral Kathar felt certain about his choice. The warnings had been dismissed before, and the Empire had always won. Today would be identical. Dr. Yelan went back to her station, but her hands trembled as she operated the controls. She had learned to rely on the Admiral's judgment over the years, but something about this operation felt off. The ancient warnings had never been this precise before. They had never identified a civilization by name. She activated the long-distance sensors and started scanning the human system. Initially, everything appeared ordinary. A few orbital stations, some resource operations, craft moving between worlds. Then she spotted something odd. The human vessels were not fleeing from the Zaphirian fleet. They were heading toward it. Admiral, she announced. The humans are not pulling back. They seem to be mounting some kind of response. Kathar laughed once more. Let them approach, Doctor. We will demonstrate what real fighters look like. The Zaphirian fleet pushed forward, sure of their numerical and technological advantage. None of them realized that human watchers had been tracking their approach for weeks. None of them grasped that every action they took was being documented and studied. As they drove deeper into the Sol system, Admiral Kathar imagined the victory ceremony he would hold when this ended. He would be known as the Conqueror of Earth. His name would be honored for ages. He had no clue that he was about to become a warning story instead. The lunar-based communication hub was silent except for the gentle hum of machines. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair observing the Zaphirian fleet approach on the primary screen. She had anticipated them for 3 weeks. Admiral, transmission coming from the alien fleet, Lieutenant Williams announced. His voice remained steady, but Chen noticed the tension in his posture. Display it, Lieutenant. The screen shifted and Admiral Kathar's image emerged. Chen had researched Zaphirian biology preparing for this encounter. The alien stood tall with blue skin and multiple arms. His yellow eyes displayed the confidence of someone who had never experienced defeat. I am Admiral Kathar of the Zaphirian Empire, the alien announced in accented but understandable English. I address the leaders of the human civilization. You will surrender your territories and accept Empire rule. You have 1 hour to reply. Chen rose slowly. She was shorter than most of her staff with gray hair and creases around her eyes. She had served 30 years in the Earth Defense Force fighting in 3 separate conflicts. She stared directly into the camera. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Thank you for introducing yourself, Admiral Kathar. However, we must politely refuse your demand. Kathar's arms moved impatiently. Human, you misunderstand. This is not a discussion. We have 200 warships. You cannot oppose us. Chen smiled faintly. Admiral, I think there has been a miscommunication. We are not planning to oppose you. We are planning to eliminate you. The Zaphirian Admiral laughed, the sound rough through the speakers. Eliminate us with what? We have watched your transmissions. Your biggest vessels carry weapons that would barely mark our barriers. Admiral, before we go further, I need to reveal something. Chen gestured to Lieutenant Williams. Please show the asteroid marked target Alpha 7. The screen divided. Half displayed Kathar's face and half showed a massive asteroid drifting in space. It was about mountain-sized, rotating slowly against the stars. This asteroid sits roughly 50,000 kilometers from your position, Chen described. We would like to demonstrate something. Kathar's expression shifted to amusement. Are you planning to hurl rocks at us, human? Our barriers can deflect much bigger objects than that. Chen touched a control on her chair. Fire. For an instant, nothing appeared to happen. Then space exploded with brilliant light. When the glow faded, the asteroid had vanished. Not shattered or broken into pieces, but totally vaporized. Where it had existed, only empty space remained. The bridge of Chen's command ship fell silent. Even her own staff had not anticipated such total destruction. On the divided screen, she observed Kathar's face had turned pale blue. That was one of our smaller defense platforms, Chen stated calmly. We have been monitoring your fleet since you reached our outer sensor range 2 weeks ago. Did you honestly think we would not notice 200 ships entering our system? Kathar's voice had lost some of its certainty. Impossible. Our sensors found no weapon platforms in this area. Admiral, humans have been waging wars for thousands of years. We discovered long ago that the best weapons are the ones your opponent cannot detect. Chen moved closer to the camera. That asteroid you just witnessed disappear was actually a disguised defense station. We constructed it 3 years ago when our long-range scouts first detected your empire expanding in this direction. On the Zaphirian flagship, Dr. Yilan was working urgently at her sensor station. Admiral, I am reading enormous energy signatures throughout the system. Structures that I initially identified as asteroids and space waste are displaying artificial characteristics. Chen could hear the exchange through the open communication link. Your science officer is right, Admiral. What appears to be empty space is actually a deliberately prepared battleground. We have had decades to ready ourselves for this moment. Kathar recovered some of his composure. One hidden weapon does not make you a danger, human. We still vastly outnumber you. Do you? Chen asked. Computer, display Admiral Kathar our current fleet locations. The space surrounding the Zaphirian fleet suddenly illuminated with identification signals. Dozens of human ships materialized on sensors emerging from behind asteroids, worlds, and even from within the solar corona itself. They had been concealed throughout the entire system. As you observe, Admiral, you are presently surrounded, Chen stated. Our ships have been positioned for days awaiting your arrival. Every one of your craft is currently marked by multiple weapon systems. Dr. Yilan's voice was urgent now. Admiral, we are detecting targeting beams from 17 different directions. They have been tracking us since we entered the inner system. Kathar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How did you conceal so many ships? Our sensors are among the finest in the galaxy. Chen returned to her command chair. Admiral, let me clarify something about humans. We excel at 3 things: concealment, combat, and sacrificing ourselves for what we value. Your civilization conquers territories through superior tools and numbers. We survive through cleverness and resolve. She indicated the tactical display. Every human ship you observe has a crew that volunteered for this operation. They understand the risks. They know some of them will not make it. They do not mind. Do you understand why? Kathar was silent, staring at the overwhelming tactical situation his fleet now faced. Because you threatened our home, Admiral. You threatened our families, our children, our future. Humans do not compromise with threats to our young. Lieutenant Williams approached Chen's chair. Admiral, we are receiving surrender requests from 3 Zaphirian vessels. Chen shook her head. Negative, Lieutenant. No surrenders will be accepted from individual ships. This is an all-or-nothing situation. She looked back at Kathar. Admiral, I am going to offer you the same choice you gave us. You have 1 hour to withdraw your entire fleet from our system. If you refuse, we will eliminate every single vessel. Kathar's military training activated. You are bluffing, human. You could not have constructed so many weapons without our intelligence networks discovering them. Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Admiral, your intelligence networks have been compromised for months. Every piece of data you have about human capabilities has been carefully selected by our intelligence services. We wanted you to come here. We wanted you to underestimate us. She stood up again. You see, Admiral, we discovered something important from studying your empire. You always attack civilizations that seem weak and isolated. So we seemed weak and isolated. We ensured your scouts saw precisely what we wanted them to see. Dr. Yilan's voice was barely a whisper. Now, Admiral, the energy readings from the human weapons are unlike anything in our databases. The weapon that destroyed the asteroid had power output comparable to a stellar explosion. Chen nodded. Your science officer is very perceptive. Humans have been studying stellar physics for a long time, Admiral. We learned how to capture the power of stars decades ago. The question is, are you ready to face weapons powered by the sun itself? Kathar looked at his tactical display again. His fleet, which had seemed so mighty an hour ago, now looked hopelessly outmatched. The humans had turned his entire invasion into a trap. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "We want you to leave," Chen said simply. "We want you to return to your empire and tell them what occurred here. We want every civilization in the galaxy to know that Earth is protected." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "But most importantly, Admiral, we want you to grasp that this was us being merciful. We could have destroyed your fleet the instant you entered our system. We chose to give you a chance to leave with your lives." Kathar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something resembling respect. "Admiral Chen, if we withdraw, how do we know you will not pursue us?" Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because, Admiral, we are not conquerors. We are defenders. We do not want your territories or your materials. We want to be left alone to live our lives in peace." She walked back to the camera. "But understand this. If any ship from your empire ever threatens human space again, we will not be so generous. We will not give warnings. We will not offer chances to withdraw. We will simply eliminate you." The communication ended on lunar base. Admiral Chen turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant, send a message to all fleet commanders. Maintain current positions, but do not engage unless fired upon." As she watched the Zaphirian fleet beginning to turn away from Earth, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The trap had worked perfectly, but she knew this was only the beginning. Word of what happened here would spread throughout the galaxy. Some civilizations would be warned away. Others would see it as a challenge. Either way, humanity was no longer hidden. For better or worse, they had announced their presence to the galaxy. Admiral Kathar stood in his private quarters, staring at the tactical reports scattered across his desk. 3 weeks had passed since the humiliating encounter at Earth. His fleet had withdrawn, but the shame burned in his chest like acid. "Doctor." Yilan entered without knocking, something she had never done before. Her silver skin looked almost white with exhaustion. "Admiral, we need to talk about what, Doctor? About how the humans made fools of us? About how our intelligence was completely wrong?" Kathar's voice was bitter. "About why we need to stay away from human space," she said, sitting down without being invited. "I have been studying everything we recorded during our encounter. Admiral, we barely escaped with our lives." Kathar turned to face her. They were bluffing. "Doctor, no civilization could build that many hidden weapons without someone noticing." Dr. Yilan activated her portable display unit. Images of the human tactical formation appeared in the air between them. "Admiral, look at these positioning patterns. Every human ship was placed with mathematical precision. They had calculated exactly where we would enter their system and planned accordingly." She highlighted different sections of the formation. "This is not random placement. This is the result of decades of planning and preparation. They have been expecting us or someone like us for a very long time." Kathar studied the images. Even he could see the obvious tactical superiority of the human positions. So they are good at planning. That does not make them invincible. "Admiral, that weapon that destroyed the asteroid generated more energy than our entire fleet combined, and they called it one of their smaller defensive platforms." Dr. Yilan's voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. "I ran the calculation 17 times. The power requirements for that weapon are beyond our current technology." The Admiral walked to his viewing port and looked out at his fleet. Many of his ships showed signs of hasty retreat. Some had been damaged when they tried to probe human defenses during their withdrawal. "Doctor, what are you suggesting? That we abandon our expansion into this region of space because one civilization has better weapons than expected?" Dr. Yilan stood up and joined him at the viewing port. "Admiral, I am suggesting that we listen to the ancient warnings. The humans are not just another civilization to be conquered. They are something else entirely." She activated another display showing intercepted human communications. "I have been analyzing their language patterns and cultural references. Admiral, these beings have been fighting wars continuously for their entire recorded history. Not just wars between nations, but wars that threatened their complete extinction." Kathar frowned. "Many civilizations have histories of warfare." "Not like this," Dr. Yilan said. "Most civilizations fight until one side wins or until resources run out. Humans fight until everyone is dead or the threat is completely eliminated. They have a concept they call total war. where entire populations become military targets. She showed him images intercepted from human historical databases. Cities reduced to rubble, entire continents burned, weapons capable of destroying all life on a planet. Admiral. They developed weapons that could destroy their own world, and then they built thousands of them. They pointed these weapons at themselves for decades, ready to commit species suicide rather than allow their enemies to win. Kathar studied the images with growing unease. These are just historical records, Doctor. Ancient conflicts. No, Admiral. These weapons still exist. The humans maintain arsenals capable of destroying their planet dozens of times over. They call it mutually assured destruction. They are so comfortable with the idea of extinction that they use it as a peacekeeping strategy. Dr. Yilan activated another set of files. I also intercepted their military training protocols. Admiral, human soldiers are taught that surrender is acceptable only to protect civilians. Military personnel are expected to fight until death. She showed him videos of human military exercises. Soldiers advancing through simulated nuclear battlefields. Training scenarios where entire units sacrifice themselves to complete missions. Combat drills practiced in environments that would kill most civilizations instantly. Look at their training, Admiral. They practice fighting in conditions that would incapacitate our warriors immediately. Extreme heat, toxic atmospheres, radiation levels that would be lethal to us. And they do this routinely. Kathar was quiet for a long moment. Doctor, you are describing a civilization of madmen. No, Admiral. I am describing a civilization that evolved on a world trying to kill them. They call their planet a death world, and they are not exaggerating. Dr. Yilan pulled up geological data about Earth. Their planet has experienced multiple extinction events, ice ages that lasted for millennia, volcanic eruptions that blocked out their sun for years, asteroid impacts that destroyed most life on the surface. She highlighted different time periods in Earth's history. Any one of these events would have eliminated most civilizations completely. The humans survived all of them, not just survived but adapted and became stronger. Kathar looked at the data with growing concern. How do you know all this? Because they broadcast it freely, Admiral. They are proud of their survival. They study their own near extinctions and learn from them. They have entire scientific disciplines dedicated to understanding how to survive planetary disasters. Dr. Yilan activated one final display. But this is what worries me most, Admiral. I intercepted their military strategic planning databases. They have detailed invasion protocols for every type of terrain and environment imaginable. The display showed human military manuals, desert warfare, jungle warfare, urban combat, space battles, underwater operations, combat in vacuum, fighting on high-gravity worlds, battles in toxic atmospheres. Admiral, they have tactical manuals for fighting in conditions that most civilizations cannot even survive in. They plan for every possible scenario, including complete orbital bombardment of their own positions. Kathar felt a chill run through his body. They plan to fight even if their own worlds are destroyed. Yes, Admiral. They have contingency plans for continuing military operations from asteroids, from deep space, even from generation ships if their entire system is lost. Dr. Yilan's voice was barely above a whisper. They have planned for the possibility that they might need to fight a war that lasts for centuries. The Admiral sat down heavily in his chair. Doctor, what kind of civilization thinks like this? A civilization that has been tested by extinction and refused to die, she replied. Admiral, I believe the ancient warnings were not about human technology or military strength. They were about human psychology. She pulled up the intercepted communication from Admiral Chen again. Listen to how she spoke to us. No fear, no anger, just calm determination. She was not bluffing about destroying our entire fleet. She was stating a simple fact. Kathar replayed the conversation in his mind. The human admiral had spoken about destroying his fleet the way most people discussed routine maintenance. Doctor, what do you recommend? Dr. Yilan looked out at the stars. Admiral, I recommend we return to Empire space and report that this region is unsuitable for conquest. We tell High Command that the humans possess defensive capabilities beyond our current technology. And if High Command orders us to attack anyway, Dr. Yilan was quiet for a long moment. Then we follow orders, Admiral, but we should request additional fleets. Many additional fleets. Kathar stood up and walked back to the viewing port. In the distance, he could see the edge of human space. It looked peaceful from here, empty, harmless. Doctor, how many ships do you think we would need to successfully invade human space? Dr. Yilan ran calculations on her display unit. Based on what we observed, Admiral, I estimate we would need at least 10 times our current fleet size, possibly more. 10 times? Kathar could not hide his shock. That would require half the entire Empire Navy? Yes, Admiral, and that assumes the humans do not have additional defensive capabilities that they did not reveal to us. The Admiral thought about the conversation with Admiral Chen. The human had specifically mentioned that they were being merciful. What did that mean? What were they not showing? Doctor, in your professional opinion, what would happen if we attacked the humans with our current force? Dr. Yilan did not hesitate. We would lose, Admiral. Not just lose the battle, but lose the entire fleet. I do not believe any of our ships would survive. Kathar nodded slowly. For the first time in his military career, he was facing an opponent that he could not defeat through superior numbers or technology. The humans had turned the concept of warfare into something he did not understand. Set course for Empire space, Doctor. We need to report to High Command immediately. As the Zaphirian fleet turned away from human territory, Admiral Kathar could not shake the feeling that they had just encountered something that would change the galaxy forever. The humans were not just another civilization to be conquered or avoided. They were something entirely new. High Commander Zathol stood before the assembled War Council in the Great Hall of the Empire homeworld. His massive form dominated the room, 8 feet tall with 4 powerful arms and skin that had turned deep blue with age and authority. Around the circular table sat the most powerful military leaders in Zaphirian space. Admiral Kathar finished his report and stepped back. The silence in the room was heavy with tension. Finally, High Commander Thal spoke. Admiral, you are telling this council that 200 warships retreated from a single star system because the enemy destroyed 1 asteroid. Kathar kept his eyes focused straight ahead. High Commander, the tactical situation was impossible. We were completely surrounded by hidden weapons platforms and enemy vessels. Our intelligence had been compromised for months. General Voxen, commander of the Empire ground forces, laughed harshly. Surrounded by humans, these beings have no natural weapons. They cannot survive in most environments without artificial assistance. You retreated from prey animals. Dr. Yilan stepped forward. General, may I present the tactical analysis? The holographic display activated, showing the human defensive formation. The assembled commanders studied the positions in silence. As you can see, Dr. Yilan explained, the humans had achieved complete tactical superiority before we even knew they were there. Every approach vector was covered. Every escape route was blocked. Admiral Korfin, commander of the Eastern fleets, examined the display closely. This level of coordination suggests advanced planning and communication systems. How long had they been preparing for our arrival? Based on the positioning and construction of their hidden platforms, at least 3 years, Dr. Yilan replied. Possibly longer. High Commander Zathol studied the display with growing interest. Show me the weapon that destroyed the asteroid. Dr. Yilan activated the recording. The assembled commanders watched as the mountain-sized rock simply vanished in a flash of light. Energy output analysis indicates power levels exceeding anything in our current weapons database. She reported the humans achieved complete matter conversion. No debris remained. The room was quiet for several minutes. Finally, General Voxan spoke. One powerful weapon does not make them invincible. We have faced advanced technology before. High Commander Zathol held up one of his 4 hands for silence. Admiral Kathar, in your professional opinion, could our current fleet defeat the human defenses? Kathar hesitated. His military career depended on his answer, but his life might depend on his honesty. High Commander, I believe we would suffer catastrophic losses, possibly total fleet destruction. Unacceptable, declared Admiral Korfin. The Empire has never retreated from inferior civilizations. Our reputation throughout the galaxy depends on our military supremacy. Dr. Yilan activated another display. With respect, Admiral, I am not certain the humans are inferior. Our analysis of their intercepted communications reveals disturbing information about their capabilities. She showed the commanders examples of human military doctrine, images of weapons testing, records of their wars, training footage of human soldiers. These beings have been fighting continuously for their entire recorded history, she explained. They have developed military tactics and weapons specifically designed for total warfare. General Voxan examined the human military footage with interest. They appear to be competent warriors, but they are still physically weak compared to our soldiers. General physical strength may not be relevant, Dr. Yilan said. Observe their tactical preferences. The display showed human soldiers using explosives to destroy bridges while they were still standing on them. Pilots flying aircraft into enemy targets. Infantry advancing through artillery bombardments that would kill most civilizations instantly. They routinely sacrifice their own lives to achieve tactical objectives. Dr. Yilan continued. This is not desperation or poor planning. This is standard doctrine. High Commander Zathol leaned forward in his chair. You are saying they prefer to die rather than retreat. I am saying they do not distinguish between acceptable losses and total losses the way we do. She replied, They calculate military objectives based on strategic value, not survival rates. Admiral Corbin shook his head. Suicidal behavior is a sign of inferior reasoning. It makes them predictable and easy to defeat. Dr. Yilan activated another recording. Admiral, this is from their historical archives, a military action they call the Battle of Thermopylae. The display showed ancient human warriors facing an enemy force dozens of times larger. Instead of retreating, they fought until every defender was dead. They held their position for 3 days against overwhelming odds, Dr. Yilan explained. None of them survived, but they delayed the enemy advance long enough for their allies to prepare defenses. She showed more examples. Human defenders who destroyed their own cities rather than surrender them. Soldiers who continued fighting even when mortally wounded. Entire populations that chose death over conquest. General, they do not fight to win. They fight to prevent their enemies from winning. There is a significant difference. High Commander Zathol stood up and walked to the large viewing screen that showed the stars beyond their home world. Dr. Yilan, what is your assessment of human psychology? High Commander, I believe the humans are what their planet made them. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them repeatedly. They survived by becoming impossible to completely destroy. She pulled up geological data about Earth again. Their planet has experienced multiple mass extinction events. Each time the humans adapted and continued, they learned to survive in any condition, fight in any environment, and never give up. General Voxen studied the data carefully. Doctor, are you suggesting that we cannot defeat them? I am suggesting that defeating them and eliminating them are two different objectives, she replied. We might win battles, but they will continue fighting until they are all dead. Or we are all dead. Admiral Corbin activated his own tactical display. Even if that is true, we have superior numbers. The Empire controls 12 star systems. How many worlds do the humans control? 1 system, Admiral. But population analysis indicates they have over 7 billion individuals. The number caused stunned silence in the room. Most Zaphirian worlds had populations in the millions. The humans had more people in one system than the entire Empire. 7 billion warriors. General Voxan asked quietly. Potentially, yes, Dr. Yilan replied. Their historical records show that they mobilize entire populations during existential conflicts. Men, women, children, elderly, all become part of the war effort. High Commander Thol returned to his chair. Show me more of their weapons. Dr. Yilan displayed human nuclear arsenals, chemical weapons, biological warfare agents, orbital bombardment systems, weapons designed to destroy entire planets. High Commander, they have developed weapons specifically designed to eliminate all life on a world, including their own world. They call these weapons doomsday devices, and they maintain them in active status. She showed launch facilities and missile silos. They have enough nuclear weapons to destroy any planet multiple times over, and they have demonstrated willingness to use them. Admiral Kathar spoke up. High Commander, during our encounter, the human admiral mentioned that they were being merciful. I believe they could have destroyed our entire fleet before we even knew they were there. Why did they not attack immediately? Asked General Voxan. Dr. Yilan considered the question. Based on their behavioral patterns, I believe they wanted to send a message. They wanted us to return home and warn others to stay away. High Commander Zathol was quiet for a long time, studying all the data. Finally, he spoke. Council, I am faced with a difficult decision. We can attack the humans with overwhelming force and likely achieve victory, but the cost would be enormous. He stood up again. Or we can accept that some regions of space are not worth conquering. Admiral Koran protested. High Commander, if we retreat from one inferior civilization, others will see weakness. Our entire empire could be threatened. Admiral, if we attack the humans and lose half our fleet, our empire will definitely be threatened. The High Commander replied. I must consider all possibilities. He turned to Dr. Yilan. Doctor, what would happen if we simply left the humans alone? Based on their behavioral patterns, they would likely continue to ignore us unless we threaten them directly, she replied. They appear to be primarily defensive in nature. General Voxan slammed his fist on the table. Defensive? They have weapons capable of destroying planets. Yes, General, but they have had those weapons for decades and have never used them for conquest. They could have expanded into neighboring systems long ago, but they chose not to. High Commander Zathal made his decision. Admiral Kathar, you will take a fleet of 1,000 ships to human space. You will demonstrate Empire strength and demand their surrender. Kathar felt his blood turn cold. High Commander, I respectfully request additional support. Dr. Yilan's analysis suggests, Admiral, you have your orders. We cannot allow one civilization to dictate terms to the Empire regardless of their capabilities. As the War Council dispersed, Dr. Yilan approached Admiral Kathar. Admiral, I will prepare detailed tactical analysis for the fleet commanders, but I must warn you, I do not believe 1,000 ships will be enough. Kathar looked out at the stars where his fate waited. Doctor, I do not believe 10,000 ships would be enough, but orders are orders. 2 weeks later, the largest fleet in Empire history departed for human space, carrying over 1 million Zaphirian warriors to what many of them believed would be their final battle. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the war room beneath Lunar Base, surrounded by holographic displays showing enemy fleet positions. The Zaphirian Armada was massive, 1,000 ships arranged in perfect formation, advancing steadily toward Earth. It was the largest invasion force humanity had ever faced, Admiral. Long-range sensors confirm fleet composition, reported Captain Martinez. Heavy battleships, carrier vessels, and what appear to be planetary bombardment platforms. Chen studied the tactical display calmly. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations coordinating the defense of human space. The atmosphere was tense, but controlled. Everyone knew what was at stake. Captain, activate Protocol 7, Chen ordered. Captain Martinez hesitated. Ma'am, are you certain? Protocol 7 has never been tested in actual combat. Captain, we are facing extinction. This is exactly what Protocol 7 was designed for. Chen's voice was steady, but her eyes showed the weight of her decision. Throughout human space, hidden installations began to power up. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as asteroids and space debris revealed their true nature. Manufacturing facilities buried deep inside moons began producing war materials at an incredible rate. On Mars, General Thompson received the activation order in his underground command center. All units, this is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Protocol 7 is now active. The red planet's surface began to change. What had appeared to be mining operations were actually weapons emplacements. Massive railguns emerged from beneath the Martian ice caps. Launch facilities opened to reveal missiles designed for interplanetary warfare. In the asteroid belt, Mining Station Gamma 7 shed its disguise. The facility had never been a mining operation at all. It was a weapons factory capable of producing antimatter warheads and kinetic projectiles. Workers who had spent years pretending to be miners revealed their true nature as military engineers and weapons specialists. Admiral Kathar watched these developments with growing dread from his flagship. Dr. Yilan worked frantically at her sensor station trying to understand what they were seeing. Admiral, energy readings throughout the human system are spiking beyond our measurement capabilities. She reported structures that registered as civilian installations are showing military-grade power signatures. Kathar studied the tactical display. The humans had somehow hidden an entire military infrastructure throughout their system. Every planet, every moon, every major asteroid was revealing weapons installations. How is this possible? He asked. Our intelligence indicated this was a peaceful system focused on trade and exploration. Dr. Yilan pulled up their intelligence files. Admiral, I believe every piece of information we received about human capabilities was deliberately falsified. They have been preparing for this invasion for years. On Earth's surface, President Williams addressed the global population from the Emergency Command Center. Citizens of Earth, we face an invasion by an alien empire that seeks to enslave our world. But we are not the same civilization that struggled to reach the stars decades ago. We are ready. Around the planet, military installations that had been hidden for generations revealed themselves. Orbital defense platforms rose from the ocean floors. Mountain ranges opened to reveal massive weapon arrays. Cities transformed as their peaceful facades fell away to show defensive positions. The Zaphirian fleet continued its advance, but Admiral Kathar could see that his tactical advantage was disappearing with each passing hour. The humans were not just defending their system, they were turning it into a fortress. Admiral, incoming communication from the human admiral, reported his communications officer. Admiral Chen's image appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Kathar could see a command center filled with activity. Human officers moved with purposeful efficiency, managing what appeared to be thousands of defensive installations. Admiral Kathar, welcome back to human space, Chen said. I see you brought more ships this time. Admiral Chen, you will surrender immediately or face the full might of the Empire fleet, Kathar replied, though his voice lacked its previous confidence. Chen smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Admiral, I need to show you something before you continue with your invasion. The display changed to show the space around the Zaphirian fleet. Suddenly, hundreds of new contacts appeared on sensors. Human ships emerged from behind planets, from within asteroid fields, and from hiding places throughout the outer system. You are currently outnumbered 3-1, Chen explained calmly, but that is not what I wanted to show you. The display changed again. This time it showed weapons platforms throughout the solar system, all targeting the Zaphirian fleet. The number of targeting lasers was overwhelming. Admiral, you are currently being targeted by over 10,000 individual weapon systems. Each one is capable of destroying a ship your size. Many of them are capable of destroying your entire fleet. Dr. Yilan's voice was barely a whisper. Admiral, the power readings. Some of these weapons are generating energy equivalent to stellar output. Chen continued speaking. Admiral Kathar, I offered you mercy once before. You chose to return with a larger fleet. This time there will be no mercy. Kathar felt his command authority slipping away as fear spread through his fleet. Admiral Chen, surely we can negotiate. No, Chen said simply. You came here to conquer our world and enslave our people. There are no negotiations with slavers. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. However, I will offer you one final choice. You can surrender your entire fleet unconditionally, or you can be destroyed where you stand. Surrender. Kathar could barely comprehend the concept. The Zaphirian Empire had never surrendered to anyone. Yes, Admiral. Complete and unconditional surrender. Your ships will be disarmed. Your crews will be processed as prisoners of war. Your empire will be contacted and informed that any further aggression toward human space will result in immediate retaliation. Admiral Chen leaned forward slightly. Or you can fight, Admiral. But understand that if you choose to fight, none of your ships will survive. None of your crews will return home. Your empire will receive only the wreckage of your fleet as a message. Dr. Yilan activated her private communication with Admiral Kathar. Admiral, our tactical analysis indicates Admiral Chen is not bluffing. The weapons targeting our fleet could destroy us completely. Kathar looked at his own tactical display. His 1,000 ships, which had seemed so powerful when they left Empire space, now looked pitifully small compared to the defensive network the humans had revealed. Admiral Chen, if we surrender, what guarantee do we have that you will honor the terms? Chen's expression softened slightly. Admiral, humans honor agreements made in good faith. Your crews will be treated according to our rules of war. You will be given adequate food, medical care, and living conditions. She gestured to someone off screen. In fact, we have prepared facilities for exactly this situation. We have been expecting you for some time. Kathar realized the humans had planned for his surrender before he had even arrived. They had prepared prisoner of war facilities, negotiated surrender terms, and established protocols for handling captured Zaphirian forces. "Admiral, you have 60 seconds to decide," Chen said. "Surrender or die. Those are your only options." Throughout the Zaphirian fleet, ship commanders waited for their admiral's decision. Many of them had families back home. Some had children who would never know their fathers if this battle was fought. Dr. Yilan approached Kathar's command chair. "Admiral, there is no shame in surrendering to a superior force. Our duty is to preserve the lives of our crews." Kathar thought about High Commander Zathol and the War Council. They had sent him here believing that superior numbers would guarantee victory. They had no idea what the humans were truly capable of. "Admiral Chen," he said finally, "the Zaphirian fleet surrenders." The words felt like poison in his mouth, but he knew they were the only words that would save the lives of his 1,000,000 warriors. "Very good," Admiral Chen replied. "Please power down your weapons and prepare to receive boarding parties. Your cooperation in this process will be noted and appreciated." As Zaphirian ships began shutting down their weapon systems, Admiral Kathar realized that everything had changed. The humans were not just another civilization to be conquered or avoided. They were the new power in this region of space, and the Empire would have to learn to live with that reality. 6 months had passed since the surrender of the Zaphirian fleet. Admiral Kathar sat in his quarters aboard the human prison ship Redemption, staring out at Earth through the reinforced viewing port. The blue and green world looked peaceful from space, nothing like the fortress it had revealed itself to be. The door chimed and Admiral Sarah Chen entered. This had become a weekly routine, informal conversations between the two commanders. Kathar had learned to respect the human. "Admiral," even if he did not understand her. "Admiral Kathar, how are you adjusting to the new quarters?" Chen asked, taking a seat across from him. The accommodations were better than many military barracks Kathar had lived in during his career. Clean, comfortable, with access to entertainment and communication systems. The humans had been surprisingly generous with their prisoners. "Well enough, Admiral Chen. Though I confess I do not understand your people." Chen poured herself coffee from a thermal container she had brought. The smell reminded Kathar of his first taste of human culture. Everything about these beings was different from what he had expected. "What puzzles you most?" she asked. Kathar gestured toward Earth. "You had weapons capable of destroying my entire fleet before we even fired a shot. You could have ended the battle in minutes. Instead, you gave us chances to surrender, treated. Our wounded provided comfortable imprisonment for our crews." Chen sipped her coffee thoughtfully. "Admiral, what would destroying your fleet have accomplished?" "Victory. Complete elimination of the threat to your world." "And what would happen next?" Chen asked. "Your high command would send another fleet, then another. Eventually we would have to destroy your entire civilization to ensure our safety." Kathar frowned. "Is that not what conquerors do?" Chen sat down her coffee and looked directly at him. "Admiral, we are not conquerors. We are defenders. There is a crucial difference." She activated a small display unit and showed him images of human history. "My civilization has seen what happens when powerful societies believe conquest is their right. We have been conquerors ourselves, and we have learned from our mistakes." The images showed human wars throughout history, empires rising and falling, cities destroyed and rebuilt, millions of lives lost to the ambitions of leaders who believed might made right. "We learned that conquest creates more enemies than it eliminates." Chen continued. "Every world you conquer has children who grow up planning revenge. Every civilization you enslave will eventually find a way to fight back. Kathar studied the historical images, but you defeated us completely. You could rule this region of space if you chose." Chen laughed, a sound that Kathar had learned to appreciate. "Admiral, we have no interest in ruling anyone. We have enough trouble governing ourselves." She showed him more recent images. Human colonies, space stations, research facilities. "We are explorers, Admiral. We want to learn about the universe, discover new worlds, meet new civilizations. Conquest would interfere with those goals." "Then why did you build such powerful weapons? Why prepare for war if you do not intend to fight?" Chen's expression became serious. "Because sometimes, Admiral, the only way to preserve peace is to be prepared for war." We built those weapons to protect ourselves, not to threaten others. She stood and walked to the viewing port. Do you know what we discovered when we first detected your empire expanding in this direction? Kathar shook his head. We studied your history, your methods, your treatment of conquered civilizations. Chen's voice carried a note of sadness. We learned that you enslaved entire populations, stripped worlds of their resources, destroyed cultures that had existed for thousands of years. She turned back to face him. Admiral, we could not allow that to happen to us, so we prepared. Kathar was quiet for a moment. Admiral Chen, what will happen to my crews, to my empire? Chen returned to her seat. Your crews will remain here until we can negotiate a proper peace treaty with your high command. They will be treated well, given useful work, and allowed to communicate with their families. She paused. As for your empire, that depends on your high command's response to our proposed agreement. Kathar leaned forward. What agreement? Chen activated another display showing a detailed document. A non-aggression pact. Your empire agrees to respect human territorial boundaries. We agree to respect yours. No conquest attempts in either direction, and if High Command refuses, Chen's expression hardened, then we will be forced to take more aggressive defensive measures. Kathar studied the treaty terms. They were surprisingly fair, considering the humans' overwhelming military superiority. You would truly honor this agreement? You would not expand into Empire space. Admiral, we have no interest in your territory, but we will defend our own with everything we have. Chen stood up. There is something else you should know, Admiral. Your surrender saved more than just your fleet. She activated a new display showing weapons installations throughout the solar system. The weapons you saw were only a fraction of our total defensive capability. We have weapons that could sterilize entire star systems, Admiral. Weapons that could hunt down and destroy every ship in your empire. Kathar felt his blood run cold. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand the choice your high command faces, Chen replied. They can accept our treaty and live in peace, or they can continue their aggression and face total annihilation. She walked back to the viewing port. Admiral, humans have a saying, peace through strength. We are strong enough to destroy our enemies completely. That strength allows us to offer mercy instead. Kathar joined her at the viewing port. Admiral Chen, may I ask you a personal question? Of course, do you believe your civilization is superior to mine? Chen considered the question carefully. Admiral, I believe every civilization has strengths and weaknesses. Your people are excellent engineers and disciplined soldiers. You have built an impressive society. She paused. But your culture has a fundamental flaw. You believe that might gives you the right to rule others. That belief will eventually destroy you. And humans do not have this flaw. Chen smiled sadly. Oh, we have it, Admiral. We struggle with it constantly. The difference is that we have learned to recognize it as a flaw, rather than celebrate it as a virtue. A communication alert sounded. Chen activated her personal communicator. Admiral, we have received a response from the Zaphirian High Command, reported Captain Martinez. Chen looked at Kathar. Admiral, would you like to hear your government's response? Kathar nodded, though he feared what he might learn. High Commander Zathal has agreed to negotiate a peace treaty, Martinez continued. He is requesting a formal diplomatic meeting. Chen smiled. Excellent. Captain, please prepare our diplomatic facilities and inform the High Commander that Admiral Kathar will be present as a representative of the Zaphirian military. After Chen left, Kathar remained at the viewing port, staring at Earth. In 6 months of imprisonment, he had learned more about humans than years of intelligence. Reports had taught him. They were not the primitive prey civilization his empire had believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous. A civilization that had learned to combine overwhelming military power with restraint and wisdom. Dr. Yelin entered his quarters carrying a data pad filled with her latest research. Admiral, I have been analyzing human cultural and historical data. She said, I believe I understand why the Ancient Ones warned against contact with this civilization. Kathar turned from the viewing port. Explain. It is not about their weapons or their military strength, she said. It is about their approach to conflict resolution. She activated her display, showing comparative data about various galactic civilizations. Most civilizations follow predictable patterns, Admiral. They expand until they encounter resistance, then either retreat or fight until one side is destroyed. And humans do something different. They plan for conflicts that may not happen for generations. They prepare for enemies they have not yet met. They develop contingency plans for scenarios that most civilizations would consider impossible. Dr. Yilan highlighted specific examples from human history. They have spent centuries studying warfare. Admiral, not just how to fight, but when to fight, when to negotiate, and when to show mercy. You believe this makes them more dangerous than simple aggressors? I believe this makes them impossible to defeat through conventional means, she replied. An aggressive civilization can be contained or destroyed. But a civilization that combines overwhelming power with strategic patience, that is something entirely new. Kathar thought about his conversations with Admiral Chen. The human had demonstrated exactly the kind of strategic thinking Dr. Yilan described. Doctor, what do you believe will happen during the peace negotiations? Dr. Yilan was quiet for a moment. Admiral, I believe the humans will offer us something we have never had before, a chance to evolve beyond conquest, a chance to become something better than what we are. 2 weeks later, Admiral Kathar stood beside Admiral Chen as they watched High Commander Zathol's ship dock with the human diplomatic station. The peace negotiations were about to begin, and the future of both civilizations hung in the balance. As the Zaphirian leader emerged from his ship, Kathar realized that everything his empire had believed about strength and conquest was about to change. The humans had taught him that true power lay not in the ability to destroy enemies, but in the wisdom to turn them into allies. The galaxy would never be the same.